Good morning, Maurice and Joy. It's Patty. And Tom, did you get my email from yesterday?
Good morning.
I'm sure I did. Having some.
Are you on the phone? Can I call you?
Yeah. Well, wow. Okay.
I was calling user 4.
Yeah. I'm logged in as, no.
I'm gonna call your desk if I can, and if you could mute yourself.
Okay.
Happy Wednesday, everyone.
Hello.
I have 2 appellants that's going to be with me in the office. So for docket 6121, and again for docket 7421. So we will have to take probably like 2 to 3 minutes before we start proceeding with your hearing so I can get them set up and to sanitize in between them. So give me 1 minute give me a couple of minutes to set up for docket 6121. And I'll be back for us to start the meeting.
6121. You mean 5821?
Okay. My mic muted. Let's see. Unmute. Unmute. What's going on?
Francis, we're waiting for Carmela to join us back again. So just mute until she comes back in, and then we'll get started.
So you can hear me?
We can, yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Morning, Mr. Gallagher. This is Patty. I only see you and Mr. Mashke on right now. Did you, and I don't see, oh, it'll come, give my brain a second. Dennis, did you guys have a pre-meeting beforehand? I don't see Mr. Bradley or Mr. Dank or Dennis on here.
Yes, we did, and
Okay.
they should
Then I won't
be
worry about
joining
it.
us. Right, hopefully.
Hello?
Oh, David, yes, we hear you. We're waiting for Carmela to get started, so you can go ahead and mute till she joins in.
Okay. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, does this work? Hello? Does this work? What are we doing here? It's panel.
It's Patty again, Mr. Gallagher. I do see Mr. Dank joined. If Mr. Bradley does not come on, I'm just reminding you, you need to give the 3-member advisory.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm hearing this. Where is this coming from?
There's Patty. Hi, Mr. Dank.
You don't recognize Patty's voice, huh?
Yes, that's Patty.
Yeah, at the end, I'm gonna pop on when you do any old business, new business, unofficial business, monkey business. You'll see me then.
Oh, you'll be on before then, I'm sure.
Just my goal is to always say the minimum possible. You know that.
Okay, now I hear no one.
We're, Joe, we're waiting for Carmela to come back on. She's setting some people up that are going to give testimony.
Okay, happy Wednesday, everyone. Thank you for being patient. We can go ahead and get started.
Okay, Cleveland Board of Billing Standards and Appeals is now in session. I'll read the preamble. In compliance with notification requirements of Ohio's open meeting law in section 101.021 of the codified ordinance of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976. Notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting has the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you. Be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Anyone who is a call-in user can unmute by using *6 on your phone. All meeting activity is being recorded by way of the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed by way of YouTube. All requests to speak on a particular matter by way of our website and email have been considered. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comment on a particular matter.
And Mr. Chairman, I can confirm that we are streaming the meeting.
Okay, Ms. Austin, is there something else you want to say before we?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Maurice. The city does object to the use of the chat function as we do each time based upon the rules promulgated originally at the beginning of the pandemic by the Ohio Supreme Court. And as reasoning, the city states that during the in-person meetings, people would not be just talking outside of the board acknowledging them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Carmelo, what do we have?
Oh, and the 3-member advisory. Sorry.
Right, well, okay, we have to check with Carmelo and see what we have. Carmelo?
Yes, what was that about?
Patty's reminding us that we only have 3 of our members on.
Who are we missing?
We're missing Mr. Bradley.
Yeah, I don't see Mr. Bradley. If he pops on, oh, there he is. He popped on. As long as he says yes. I didn't see him before. Thank you.
Okay, I thought I saw everybody here.
Okay. All right. go ahead, Carmelo, we have,
Call the roll.
so yes, call the roll.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher,
Yes,
Mr. Dink.
Yes,
We have a quorum.
okay. We'll go ahead then, and we will open up the first docket, A5821, 1846 East 93rd Street.
Applications and fees are in order. Notice of violation is a condemnation of the main structure issued on May 24th of 2021. Appellant is requesting for more time to abate the violations. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Aston, Law. Will the appellant for docket A5821 please state your name for the record?
It's a David M. Dotson.
Okay, Mr. Dodson, solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead and let us know what your plans are.
I have in line architect, Whitley and Whitley. I was going to start on those plans prior to this meeting, but I got to thinking, well, I don't know how this thing is going to turn out, so I didn't want to spend an absorbent amount of money on something that wouldn't come into fruition for myself in terms of getting this structure up to par. So I would like to have more time. This COVID, I was in a situation in 2019, and this whole COVID thing just threw me back. I got COVID. I was taking care of a sick mom she didn't have COVID, but she passed away in 2019. So it was just a rough year for me. And I'm just now in position now to get back on track with this. And I just would like to have more time in procuring a blueprint for this home. I was in a position to just get the permit and start work on the house, but the building department informed me that I'm going to need blueprints. So that sort of, set me back a little bit there. So that's where I'm at right now with this structure.
Okay, very sorry for your loss, Mr. Dotson. So
Thank you.
you're not sure now on the time that you would need. Is that correct? You more or less need to hear from the architect first, or?
Yes, I don't know how much time it's going to take him and his team to get in there and go through everything that they're going to need to get this design done. As far as the work itself, I'm hoping once that happens, I could at least get started on some of the damages that's already been done. I have just at this point, I have no idea, how long that's going to take.
You have the funding for this project? It looks fairly extensive.
Yes, I have the funding.
Okay. Okay, let's hear from Mr. Vanover from the city. Mr. Vanover? I know you're muted at the moment.
I think we might be experiencing some internet issues inside the building.
No, that's me. That's me.
Oh,
I
okay.
had you muted on the application as well as, I apologize. So Mr. Chairman, to the appellate, what is your plan for the property once the rehab is completed?
Was that directed to David Dotson?
It sure was. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry. My plan is to actually live in the home myself. It's, you know, it's a nice structure, and I thought it'd be a nice place. I have a family. Just thought it'd be a nice home to live in.
So, Mr. Chairman, we don't object to more time, understanding that this will be an owner-occupied structure. The appellant has testified that it is funded, and it looks like the architectural portions are really just some structural issues that calculations need to be done because of some structural collapses. So we don't object to more time, but, you know, not more than 180 days to complete to abate the violations.
Okay, so Mr. Vanover is kind of his first move is probably to get a hold of the architect, put something together and get it over to your office. Would that sound right?
Well, yes, so Mr. Chairman, the appellant, has the architect been through the structure?
Yes, he had, he'd been, I'd say about a year ago, he was through there, but at this point, I just don't think it's safe for anybody. You know, not through the back end area, but I would say that, you know, from the front door, from all the way to maybe about 30 feet back, it's pretty sound. But once you get to the addition part, I don't know if you can look at it, but there was an addition to the home probably, you know, years ago. They put it on in the, you know, in the back. That's what's been compromised, and that's what I probably don't feel safe. There's some liability there. So he does have a preliminary drawing, because I actually had a drawing sketched out a few years back, and he went on that, but it's very generic. Other than that, he would have to have his mechanicals, his mechanical people to go in there and look at the heating system and see how that stuff is to be ran. So that's where we're at with that.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Dotson, well, I mean, you're not helping your case if you're telling me that the back of the building isn't safe to go in, okay? So I'm trying to get an understanding of how long it would take, you know, Mr. Whitley to get the drawings done. I mean, and that is the job. So I understand there's liability concerns, and Mr. Maschke can attest to the fact that that is the job, that, you know, the architect's job is to assess it. So we would have, you know, again, we stand by, you know, no more than 180 days. If he's already done it, there's some preliminary, getting the plans together shouldn't be anything monumental for this structure. So, and then the rebuild should be fairly, you know, straightforward.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Vanover,
Go ahead, Mr. Maschke.
are you recommending 120 days for him to prepare drawings to submit to you, or prepare drawings and abate the conditions in 120 days?
He said 180, and I would assume he'd want them drawings way on before that, I would assume, but we're gonna rely on you, Mr. Maschke, to let us know about how long that you think that would take to bring up the drawings.
So assuming that the architect is able to take the work on now, I would think that the work to complete drawings and submit them would take somewhere between 30 and 60 days. So if, assuming November 1st, he can start work, there's no reason why drawings could not be submitted to the city prior to the Christmas holiday. That would give the city time to review the drawings. And while the city's reviewing the drawings, that would give time for the homeowner to get pricing from contractors to do the work. And there's no reason that this work cannot be performed at any time throughout the year to get it safe. I would, however, recommend that if that building is not safe and it is open and it could collapse, that we should consider an emergency resolution to make sure that that building gets shored up and protect it from people getting in there. Because from these pictures, it does not look that way.
Well, we could we could do a remand, I suppose, so that the city can maybe further assess, and I'll let that up to Mr. Vanover, what he thinks about that. But if we think that it's not safe, and could create a collapse, then maybe.
Huh?
Now
it's
okay,
said it's loading.
Mr.
I
Vanover.
can hear him talk, but ain't no picture up there at all.
Mr. Chairman,
How
so
far?
to answer,
Oh, so
The answer is yes on the remand.
how long you gonna be on, Jeff?
I apologize. Mr. Bradley needs to mute his phone or mute his, because
Go by and blow your horn.
somebody's
Okay.
talking over. I can't,
On Eddie Road up there?
That was Mr. Bradley. Mr.
So,
Bradley,
Mr.
you get a mute.
You know where you live at? Where that boat set up in the next door?
Every single hearing.
But yeah. it'd be-
So, Mr. Chairman, to Mr.
Good job.
Maskey, yes, they can actually, under the law, they can go in and shore the building to keep it from further collapse, with or without a resolution from the board. So the law allows for emergency stabilization in those matters. Of course, before they tear anything, further out or, other than what they need for the shoring, or before they rebuild, then the permits will need to be in place. So we would ask, again, we don't object to more time. I don't know that remanding it back to us, either, however the board decides, but
Okay.
180 days to abate the violations, I think under Mr. Maskey's timeline, understanding that architects get busy and there's a supply chain issue, but I will remind the board that, this property, this didn't happen overnight. This is some years of neglect, and I don't know if it was purchased in this condition for the purpose of rehab, or if it has been owned for a period of time and became, in this condition. Either way, there was a responsibility to, get it done.
Okay, well then, using that as the timeline for this, we would ask that the drawings be submitted no later than December 29th, 2021, and that the abatement of the violations would be by April 27th, 2022. So we need a motion to go on with that. If
So moved.
Mr. Dotson wants to comment.
So moved.
So it's moved, seconded by Mr. Bradley. Go ahead and call the roll.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley, Mr. Dink,
Yes,
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. Okay, you will be notified in 2 weeks, Mr. Dotson. So that's what you're looking at right now, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, you
I
can
just-
sign out if you wish. We're all set. Okay, next docket, A 6121 3879 East
Mr.
70.
Chairman, I think
Go.
Mr. Dotson had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Dotson.
Yes, only question I had was I was a little unclear about the shoring up. Are you saying that I could go in there and potentially make the building a little bit safer, just for work to begin? Is there some things I could remove and structurally wise make more secure?
I'll let Mr. Vanover answer that, but that was my understanding.
So, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Dotson, yes, the law allows for you to make emergency repairs. That means that you can board it up and enclose it. You can put, you can tarp, windows and openings to keep the weather out. You can put temporary shoring in to support members that may be failing. You can do those things. I will caution, though, that demolition and removal of large, wholesale demolition of portions of the building will require, you know, the permit to be issued, but we're really talking about just making safe, and, you know, and tarping it off and boarding it up to keep it dry. I mean, those are things that, you know, you can do now, you could have done at any time that you've owned the building.
Okay.
Mr. Dodson, that's clear?
Yes, it's clear. Yes, it's clear. Now, just the permit end of it, what type of permit would I need? Because anytime I go down there, if this structure comes up, then it's gonna show that I need blueprints. What type of permit will I need in order to not be, you know, or to not have to have a permit for a blueprint to be able to forego this situation?
Well, as was stated, you'll need prints to correct the violations because of the structural components. So there is no, and then you'll need a building permit that will include drawings. You'll need an electrical permit, a plumbing permit, and an HVAC permit, based on the, you know, the evidence, the condition of the property.
No, I'm understanding that portion of it. I'm just not understanding the portion of the permit that I need to be able to shore up the building or make the building safe.
Well, you
don't-
won't
well,
need
you-
a permit
you
from
don't
what
need-
I'm understanding, okay? He's saying that you can go in there as long as you're not doing wholesale, you know, removal of something. He's saying then you would need a permit, but if you're just shoring up, closing up, that kind of stuff, it sounds like you can go ahead and you can do that. And I think that once you get with your architect, he can help you along this process in getting the drawings to the city so they can evaluate them.
Okay.
That is correct.
Here we go. Okay, you'll be notified within 2 weeks. So we'll open up docket A61213879.
Mr. Chairman, give me 1 second. That's my in-house appellant. Let me make sure he is
Okay.
situated. 1 moment.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Bell, you are up next.
Then you're going to be asked to state your name for the record, and then you'll be asked to give your testimony, okay? All right.
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we're all set?
Yes.
Okay, so we're opening docket A61213879 East 71st Street.
Application and fees are in order. This is a notice of condemnation of the main structure issued on September 16th, 2021. Appeal statement received. I'm sorry, this was issued on September 16th, 2019. Appeal statement received August 20th, 2021, requesting for time to abate the violations. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Ashton. With the appellant for docket A6121, please state your name for the record.
My name is Ross Bell.
Okay, so Dale, do you solemnly swear to tell
Bell.
the truth?
Ross Bell, B-E-L-L.
Okay, Mr. Bell. Gotcha. Okay, solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, go ahead and let us know what the plans are here.
Excuse me, could you say that again, sir?
You let us know what the plans are here, what your plans are?
Right. Well, they done told, I'm trying to figure out, they done destroyed my plans. They already tore the building down.
Okay. Well, then we probably need to hear from Mr. Vanover and see where the city is on this. So the building is gone. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then let me hear from Mr. Vanover and see what's up on that end.
So, Mr. Chairman, yeah, so the building was, this building was condemned, approved for demolition. And this is a matter of a new owner. This property was transferred to the new owner. And the new owner letters went out, as we're required to do. In that time period, the property was contracted for demolition. And the asbestos survey was completed on the property, and then it was contracted. The demolition contractor mobilized to raise the property in that period of time. This appeal was filed while it was already on contract, and the contractor raised the structure as per their contract.
Okay. Okay, so Mr. Bell, there's we can't give you more time. We can't, this board can't really handle that with the structure being gone. So your avenue is going to be a different one here, and I don't know if there's someone here that could advise this this appellant as to maybe his next move, but it's not here for sure. Okay, so I'm not hearing anything from either side's.
Because I'm trying to figure out if I'm in the appeal process waiting to find out this, because the city said that the building was this and that. The city ain't got no proof of that. I got proof of that. I've been taking care of that building. I've been having work done on that building. You never notified me to say that you're going to tear the building down or notify me to tell me anything about the building. After all the building is basically paid off, everything comes. The water bill, the voucher for them surveying it. But before this, they ain't sent me a notice or nothing. I thought I had due process. I thought I had a right to be notified if you're going to take something from me.
Yeah,
but they violated that. They violated my rights. I can't prove the equipment and stuff I had inside the building when they tore it down. How they get in the building? They never asked me. I own the building. So if they got in there, that means they broke in there. So how did they get in the building? And they ain't been in that building since 2 years ago. So where is they talking about? This is what I don't understand. I got pictures of the building. I got video where I had police reports telling them that, people trying to vandalize my building. Why would I do any of this if I've been notified? You haven't notified me. So I'm saying, where is my due process? They could have sent me a letter and said, Mr. Bell, you have to tear the building down. We don't feel this and that. They went on their own discreet and tore it down anyway. Right. So what is the appeal process? I thought the appeal process was supposed to halt that.
So, Mr. Chairman, to the appellate, I will make a few comments that the new owner letter was sent. Mr. Bell, when did you take possession of this property? When did you transfer ownership?
Excuse me?
When did you buy this property?
2019.
2019. Okay. So, I will note, for the record that the violation notice was issued in 2019. Was there a certificate of disclosure applied for?
When I bought the building, I seen his face. He said these are the things that I need to be did to make sure that the building stay up there. Clean it up, keep it clean around the area, clean the debris off the roof. All that was dead. Get the graffiti off. Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, who told you to do those things?
It was a guy. It's been so long ago. I don't know what his name was. This was like 2000. I can't remember yesterday. It was 2019, 18, somewhere in there. I know this. I pay on that building every. You see how it look now? It don't look nothing like that. Nothing. Well, before you tore it down, but I have pictures. That's the building before I owned it. So I didn't have
This
nothing.
picture was taken January of this year.
January of this year?
Yes.
January.
According to this service, it was taken January of this year.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, so I apologize. I stand corrected. The notice of violation for this property was issued in 2018.
2018. And where
Yeah.
was it issued, and who was it issued to?
It was issued to, hold on, bear with me one moment.
This
Yes.
is Patty, Mr. Chairman. The one that is on appeal that was provided, it has an issue date of 9/16/2019 to a Ross F. Bell at 12909 Emory Avenue and Ross F. Bell at the property 3879 East 71st Street. And the appeal statement appears to have been filed by Bell Jung LLC by Ross Bell, which I believe is the appellant speaking, if I'm correct.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. I was having some technical difficulties. So yes, so Mr. Chairman and Mr. Bell, at 12909 Emory Avenue, is that your address?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, on 9/19/2019, the condemnation notice was posted on this property. So our position is that Mr. Bell was notified in 2019 via certified mail at both the property and at his address that he's admitted to was his address at 12909 Emory. The property was also posted with the condemnation placard in 2019 as well. That would have been, and we've got photographs of the post and photo. Our position is that the appellant was properly served. So the statement that nobody ever told him anything about it is, based on our evidence, is not accurate. One of the questions that we have is under what grounds from a 2019 condemnation notice was the appeal filed and even accepted? So we understand that there was a notice to appeal filed, but from Mr. Bell was served this violation notice in 2019, which is 2019 now. Fast forward to 2021. It's far beyond the statutory 30-day appeal period, as well as the compliance time for the notice of condemnation.
Okay, so that's the reasoning, Mr. Bell. I would say that if you feel you were wronged, you're going to have to take it up with the courts, I'm afraid, because we can't really help you with this board. You know, if the building was there, we could give you more time. We could do something like that, but without having the structure there, there's nothing this board can do.
So, Mr. Chairman, we would ask that you find that the violation notice was properly issued, because there's been no testimony to the contrary. And
how is it been issued? I never got a notice. You never gave me a notice.
Mr. Chairman, we would argue that it was sent certified mail to 12909 Emory Avenue, which Mr. Bell has already testified that, if I may finish, he's already testified that that is his address, and it's been posted on the property.
So I'm
Okay.
saying the notice that you gave me was is in 2021. What that got to do with the notice that you're supposed to send me? What after that? That you just sent me that notice after I changed it over into a company name. That notice ain't nothing but 30 days old, and I'm in appeal now. You already had made the decision to tear the building down. So what you mean you sent me a appeal, or you what did the paperwork matter after you already done made the decision to tear the building down?
Well, I think what Mr. Vanover was saying
But like
is
you
that
said,
it
you
was,
can't do nothing for me no way. So I mean, yes, I understand.
okay. All right, so the board is gonna find that there was a notice issued, in a timely
What notice
manner.
issue? Wait a minute, excuse me. You're gonna find it. What notice issue that you find it, sir?
The one
I'm-
that he said they sent to you on
Which
that
one is
date.
that?
That's in I think it's September 16, 2019. I think that's the notice that Mr. Vanover's talking about. And, you know, you have 30 days to respond. And even though you may have filed an appeal after that time, I think,
Excuse
nonetheless.
me. If that was in September, I thought they told out. That's when they told it. If I filed it in September, when did they send it to me?
Well, he says they sent it in September.
September to what?
That's when they said they sent it.
And my appeal right now is what?
Hold on. Go ahead, Mr. Vanover.
Mr. Chairman, the notice of violation was issued to Mr. Bell. And this is my response to the fact that he never knew there was a condemnation or an intention to demolish the structure. That was, Mr. Bell stated that he did not know and that we had intended to demolish the structure. Our position is that is inaccurate because we notified Mr. Bell in 2019, September of 2019, of our intention to issue the condemnation and demolish the structure. So Mr. Bell was made aware by certified mail. He was also made aware by posting the condemnation on the property. And I will also state for the record that under City of Cleveland law, there is a requirement for when a property is sold from one entity to another to file a certificate of disclosure, and that has not been done on this property. Otherwise, that would have been, if that law had been followed, Mr. Bell would have been further aware of the condemnation notice. But our position is that this was served on Mr. Bell, so the statement that I don't know who gets his mail or who watches the property when the red and white placard is put on the property. But our position is that Mr. Bell was notified of the condemnation and the intent to demolish.
Excuse me. I was notified of everything after they had already put the destruction of the building in process. That the building was already being torn down. They had already did everything to tear the building down. After I realized that, then I made the appeal. But they never, what they sent me to make the first appeal with, I'm not still within the range of that. You said it was in September. They've been tearing they had the building scheduled for tear down in September. They already had it. So how would they send me a notice where I could stop the process or a notice that would notify me to tear my own building down? How you gonna tear it down without giving me the right to tear it down myself? Or give me a letter saying that we. Yes, I'm listening.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just say this one more time, and then you can make your ruling. The notice was sent in September of 2019, 2 years ago, to Mr. Bell.
And I've been doing everything to fix the
Mr. Chairman, this is Patty. Mr. Chairman, if I may, because the parties' positions are what they are, we would ask that you make your ruling and determine the appeal as you based upon all of the statements made. It appears that the statements are just being restated at this point.
Right. Yes, I can agree with that. I understand, but okay, I just want to make sure Mr. Bell has had his chance to object to, his building being torn down, which he has done. but the board does have to rule on this, and we're gonna rule that there was notice sent, it was properly issued. Whether it got out to everybody or not, I have no idea, but we need to rule that it was issued, and therefore, that the city took
Mr.
action.
Bell, you leaving?
We need a motion to that effect.
So moved.
It's been moved by Mr.
Okay.
Maskey. A second.
Okay,
Is there a
have a
second?
great day.
All right, I'll second it. Okay, call the roll. Carmella?
Could you, Mr. Bell was leaving out. Could you give me that motion again? Who was the first?
Maskey.
Mr. Maskey, and I second it.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley, Mr. Dink.
Okay.
Yes,
Move on. We'll get docket
I did not hear my
85421.
name mentioned.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, give me 1 second, please.
Sure.
We heard you, Mr. Dank. I don't know if Mr. Bradley's still muted, but we heard you. Actually, I don't see did Mr. Bradley fall off?
I was just going to say, it looks like Mr. Bradley is gone.
Yeah, it looks like he fell off. He was on when it started. So unless he comes back when Carmela is ready, because she's got to wipe down in between, she said, if you could give the 3 advisory.
Okay. All right.
Which hopefully he can log back on. It looked like he had some internet issue, like a big yellow triangle popped up over his name, the 1 point. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
And there he's back again.
He's back. Okay, good. All right.
Can you hear me, Pat?
We can, yes. Okay.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I don't know what's happening with this computer. It's not here. It's on the old end.
Okay. We're okay. All right.
Okay,
Waiting
next
for
docket.
Carmella.
Mr. Chairman, I'm ready.
Okay, docket A5421, 10813 Reno Avenue.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is interior and exterior maintenance, issued July 19, 2021. Appeal received July 30th, 2021, requesting for more time to abate the violations. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Ashton, Law. With the appellant for docket A5421, please state your name for the record.
Francis Miller.
I mean, money. She paid it to us.
Okay. Okay, solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Miller. You want to tell us where you're at with this? Give us what time you need.
Actually, I don't need any time. All of the repairs have been taken care of.
Okay, let me get to Mr. Vanover.
I apologize, I was finishing up. Then, Mr. Chairman, we would ask just to, Mr. Chairman, has the inspector done a final inspection?
Yes, he was out.
All right, let me, can you provide the address again?
10813.
1018 Reno Avenue.
Okay, so Mr. Chairman, it does appear that Inspector Davis has been out. He has not closed the violation notice yet. So we would not object to another 30 days
Okay,
to, one, to get us through this appeal time, understanding that, you know, the violation notice as written is out of compliance, but it stayed due to this hearing. So we would ask that, you know, you grant more time to get through this hearing date, and we wouldn't object to another 30 days so that the inspector can follow up and get his paperwork completed and close the violation notice.
okay, so we'll give to November 29th, 2021 to close out the violation.
So do I need to be here for him to close it out?
Mr. Chairman, to the appellate, if he's done his final inspection and everything is good, then he shouldn't have to re-inspect. But if so, he will reach out to you for that purpose. Based on what you said, I don't believe so. If everything is completed, but I just want to make sure that he gets his stuff done.
Okay, the issue that we have is the tenant would not let him nor me into her unit to see the work that for the bathtub being repaired, which we did take care of. And she's just been really, he can't get in. You could talk to him about that.
I will. So,
Okay, so we have an understanding then. Motion to give another 30 days to close out the violation to November 29th, 2021.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Mr. Maskey.
So I have one question. Hello?
Oh, okay, let's get the second in here and then you can ask your.
Second.
Okay, I got a second, Mr. Bradley. Go ahead. Go ahead, Ms. Miller.
Since all of this came about because the tenant wanted me to do a repair on her door, can I get my money that she withheld, and how do I go about doing that?
Oh, that's a different department.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Anybody have an idea on that?
I do, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
To the appellate, was this money held at the Cleveland Housing Court in escrow?
Yes.
Okay, so what we'll do is, once the inspector, we will have him close the notice and he will communicate that to you. You'll then you'll need to contact the housing court. Because they're the ones that do that.
Okay.
Are we all set, Ms. Miller?
Good.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Maskey, second by Mr. Bradley. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Maskey? Mr. Bradley?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Dank?
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher?
Yes. Okay, thank you. All right, next docket. 85721 10732 Bel Air Road.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is exterior maintenance and condemnation of the garage. Issued on July 12th, 2021. Appeal statement received August 12th, 2021, requesting for time to abate the violations. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Ashton, Law. Will the appellant for docket A 5721 please state your name for the record?
Hello, Daniel Nolan.
Okay, Mr. Nolan, you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay,
I do.
go ahead and let us know what your plans are.
Preliminarily, Mr. Chairman, this is Patty. I apologize, but I have that the appeal is by American Home Classic LLC by
Yes.
Franco Nero. So
Yes.
if this is an agent, so just to make sure the board has the correct information, that he has the board has the agency letter or authorization. at some point. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Nolan, do you have that, the authorization to handle this?
No, he was not available. I'm the tenant of the property, and our agreement has been that I do, oh shoot, sorry, my phone.
Any repairs?
Yes, and this year has been a bad year for me. Sorry, I need to get battery onto my phone here. Deny, sorry. And the I've had issues with my sister and my personal work life, trying to accomplish. I did get some things done. One of the vehicles has been removed from the yard. I have done some cleaning inside the building, and I hope to get it tarped by the end of the week, to keep the weather out.
Okay. How much time do you need to abate this violation?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I don't have anything from the owner giving permission for the tenant to represent him today.
Okay. Well, what we're going to
I
have
didn't
to
send
do,
this owner
would have needed
numerous
that.
emails.
Sorry.
And they never respond that the tenant will be giving testimony on their behalf in regards to these violations today.
I apologize then. He just sent me a message about this, and
he
I
told
didn't
you to
realize.
handle it?
Yes.
Okay, well then.
So
he's
based
gonna
upon that, Mr. Chairman, the city's going to ask that you continue this so that we can get that in order. It does need to be especially given Ms. Davis's testimony that she sent numerous messages and the owner is not responding, the city's prepared to argue then that is a failure to prosecute should they continue to fail to respond without such even an email, because he provided an email to Ms. Davis that says that this tenant can go forward.
I didn't
This
know
is not a
some of that was
commercial property. It's a legal requirement, sir. So I'm
right.
just
No, I
going to make
understand. I
I'm
understand.
just going to make my record. The board's going to rule how it rules. Thank you. But
Right.
it is a residential. It is a single family, not a commercial property. So that there are state laws about what can be required of tenants versus ownerships that are outside of this board's purview. Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Nolan, we're going to continue with the case, but something has to be sent in by the owner giving you authority to proceed with this on what you're planning on doing, okay? Without that, we're going nowhere, so.
Okay,
All right.
so he will get another notice of another meeting date.
Well, we'll proceed, but we're saying that you have to, we need something in the office with Carmelo to say that you have the authority to go ahead and do this and do the repairs and to make the decisions on this. And he can do that, he can give the authority, but we have to have it in the office.
Okay, we should be
So,
able to do
Mr.
that.
Chairman, if you're going to hear the docket, this is Patty, if you're going to hear the docket, then we would ask that you mandate in the resolution that be required to be prior to adoption in 2 weeks. Because otherwise the city is prepared to argue that this is a failure to prosecute an abandonment of this appeal by this owner, especially given Ms. Davis's statements that she's tried to reach out to this owner previously.
Okay.
I didn't
will
know.
note that for 2 weeks that I will make that argument if it's not received by the board's secretary in this electronic age. And this appellant gave an email of franknero457@yahoo.com. So he even provided an electronic contact for this board. Thank you.
Okay, so when we get to the motion, we are going to mandate that you have to make sure that that's in the office within 2 weeks.
Okay.
Those places there's going to be a problem. Okay. All right. So what is your plans?
Well, like I said, I hope to get it tarped by the end of the week and continue to work on a plan with, talked with one contractor. The big thing is cleaning out the building so we can get in there to assess stuff. And that's a fair amount of work, I admit, but I have been throwing stuff out, getting in there and removing some stuff.
Okay, you may need, we'll check with Mr. Vanover, if you're gonna need any permits to what you're gonna be doing, which means you're not gonna be able to pull the permits unless you have that authority, to make these corrections. So it's just to let you know, that's
Okay.
pending. Okay, so let's hear from, well, wait a minute, before we get to that, how much time are you thinking you're gonna need here?
I don't know. We're getting into winter. I mean, if I can get, and I haven't been working for the last few months because my car has a major issue. I can only go a few miles at a time. My latest work has been driving out of town delivering. So right now I'm around a lot. So I'm going to try and focus on doing things, but I still, between, I don't know. I mean, if I could get half a year, I suppose. I don't know. I mean, we don't know what the weather is going to bring and as things go along here.
So you're
biggest
not
thing-
even sure about the funds currently to be able to even fix it?
Well, I have enough funds to do probably a fair amount of stuff, but I've got to maintain my own life as I go along with this. So right now I have to get my vehicle repaired so I can get back to some better income stream than the little income I do have.
Okay, well, let's hear from Mr. Vanover.
Mr. Chairman, we're going to ask that you deny any more time and remand this back to the Department of Building and Housing. And for a couple of reasons. First, I want to clarify that both the exterior maintenance violation notice and the garage condemnation are both under appeal today. Is that accurate, Ms. Davis?
I'm sorry, repeat that, Tom?
Well, I want to verify that the exterior maintenance violation notice and the garage condemnation are both under appeal.
Yes.
So Mr. Chairman, I would like to, although this is the tenant that is representing the owner, I want to make a statement for the record. This is a corporation that owns a rental property in the city of Cleveland. So it is the corporation American Home Classic LLC. It is their responsibility to fund the maintenance and repairs to this property. Although I am empathetic, to this representative's, issues, as far as, work and funding. But the funding responsibility is American Home Classic LLC's, not the tenant. And regardless of what agreement they may have in place, the responsibility to maintain this property is American Home Classic. The exterior maintenance is basically cleaning up the property, and that can be done. The funds,
Well, that's
required for
just
that
on me to,
are
yes.
minimal. So our position is this was issued on the compliance date was 8/11/2021. We weren't getting into winter at that time. That should be clean, and all of that should be done already by the time we've got here. So I don't believe there is any more time needed on the exterior maintenance violation. Moving to the garage condemnation, this garage did not get to this condition overnight. It's been, there's neglect on the part of American Home Classic. So it's their responsibility to get this done. We ask that you deny any more time because it doesn't sound like American Home Classic has even stepped up to take responsibility for this hearing or for funding the renovations that they are required to do.
I mean,
Okay.
I don't know how to explain now.
I think that Mr. Vanover brings up a good point. I'll ask the board members if they agree with the remand because I think it's probably the right thing to do at this time. Board members, do you have any opinions on this?
I concur with Mr. Vanover.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, being that we're remanding it, do we still need the mandate, that
So,
goes ahead and gets a statement that he can go ahead with the repairs to the
This is
property?
Patty. Yes, the city would ask that that be required. Otherwise, it's because he gave testimony to the board instead of continuing it for that, you heard it under the provision that it would come before the 2 weeks.
Okay, so we're going to make a motion that you have to send a notice in to the board that you have the authority to do this from the owner. And that will be a part of the rest of it. And we're going to remand this property back. Can I get a motion? Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
to Patty Aston, what if we don't receive?
Then at that point, I'm going to ask that you reopen the docket. The city's going to argue that they've abandoned it. It's ultimately the same result, but it's to create a record for such in case further action is taken.
Okay, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'm gonna make a recommendation that I reschedule this for November 10th of 2021.
Well, we had said in the beginning that we would hear this.
It's in 2
So,
weeks, Mr. Chairman, and the owner can provide that or can come in like other owners who don't come in if Ms. Davis notifies them. They can most certainly provide a statement. They can provide an agency letter. They can actually come in and try to persuade the board separately, like other owners who don't come in, maybe didn't get notice or other reasons. It's only in the 2 weeks and you'd be adopting it anyway.
yeah, I don't know if he did get notice or not. I apologize for that.
It's not going to delay things extensively, Mr. Chairman. This should be wrapped up by the end of November.
are we still remanding or are we rescheduling?
That's up to the board. Your secretary is
All right.
suggesting a continuance, which was what I had asked for prior to going forward. Legally, I don't object to it because it's the right of the owner anyway. And it's required to have, and if he ignores it, you're going to get the same
Okay.
result.
Let's reschedule this in 2 weeks then.
Okay, I can try to make sure Frank is here.
Mr. Chairman, the city's going to object to it has to come through Ms. Davis. Mr. Nolan can most certainly do whatever he wishes, but
Right.
it's the entity owner's appeal. Unless Mr. Nolan is part of this entity, he doesn't have the right to speak on behalf of the entity unless the entity says so. That's just
Okay.
the
We're
base, what the
rescheduling.
law
We're gonna-
requires. Thank you.
We're going to reschedule it in 2 weeks. Okay.
All right.
And so I don't think we need a motion to do that. It's just a reschedule. That correct?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. You've started the hearing. You're just continuing the hearing in 2 weeks, Mr. Chairman, technically.
Okay, that's what we'll do. All right. Okay, so no action other than a new date set for the meeting. Okay, so we'll open up docket A 5921 1617 Amberley Avenue.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is fire damage issued on July 20th, 2021. Appeal statement received August 17th, 2021, requesting for 90 days to abate the violations. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Aston Law. With the appellant for docket A 5921, please state your name for the record.
Hi, my name is Jamie Bauer. I'm with Old Brooklyn Community Development Corporation.
Okay, Ms. Bauer, you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, go ahead and let us know what your plans are.
Sure. So we had just started the renovation. It had taken about 2 years to get through the city's Housing Trust Fund program for a subsidy when the fire was started. Since that time, there's been an investigation that they found it was just maybe a kid. There's some structural damage, not extensive. We did receive insurance money. We have a new scope of work, which includes repairing the structural damage. We are working with an architect to do those drawings. We're trying to figure out, because we have insurance money, we no longer need the city subsidy, so we're trying to figure out how to get out of that contract. We want to rebid the work and get this job done.
Okay.
The intention is to sell it to an owner-occupant buyer.
Okay. Let's hear from Mr. Vanover.
So, Mr. Chairman, to the appellate, the original request was for 90 days. That was in June. We're beyond that. I'm assuming no work is done. So there's an additional 90 days being requested?
Yes, sir. When the fire happened, we were not able to do anything for 30 days while it was being investigated. Then we had to wait for insurance money. We were finally able to get it cleaned out so we could see it. And like I said, the new scope of work was just done this week. We're meeting tomorrow on site with the architect.
Okay, so it sounds like she wants another 90 days. There are no objections. Motion to grant the appellant 90 days to complete the violations.
Move.
Second.
The discussion, the city would request a date certain, Mr. Chairman. That way they have the date, the city knows the date, the appellant knows the date.
January 31st, 2022. Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bradley, second by Mr. Maschke.
Mr. Maschke,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dink, Mr. Gallagher.
Here. Yes. Okay.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
Is the 90 days to get all the work done, or 90 days for getting the permit and everything approved?
I think it was to abate the violations. Mr. Vanover?
We're going to need new permits because we got some structural damage.
Mr. Vanover?
Okay. Mr. Chairman, the request was for 90 days. I mean, what is the request? That's what,
We'll do our best to get it. We'll do our best to have it all done by January 1. I'll keep everybody updated. I'm just a little concerned about making sure we can for the permit time, but with the new stuff. But we'll do everything we can to get it done.
Yeah, I'm sure if you get the
motion was
permit.
till the end of January, was it not?
Yes, January 31st.
Okay.
Okay. And if you're working on it, I'm sure you'll be all right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Docket A6021 12313 McGowan Avenue.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is interior and exterior maintenance, issued July 12, 2021. Appeal statement received August 11, 2021, requesting for time to abate the violations. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Aston Law. With the appellant for docket A6021, please state your name for the record.
Good morning, everyone. This is Sanad Malik. So I am requesting additional time because I purchased this property.
Hang on, Mr. Chairman has to swear you in. Hold on before you give testimony. And preliminarily, since I was able to jump in there, Mr. Chairman, this does cite to smoke and carbon monoxide. Thank you.
Okay. All right. This is Mr. Molly. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes.
I do.
Okay, go ahead and proceed.
Okay, so I purchased this property on July 2nd, and as soon as I purchased the property without even looking at it, I requested the tenant pay their rent for the month of July, and the tenant kind of went off, blocked my number, and then I get a letter in the mail on July 12th. So literally a week after. So what I'm assuming happened was I asked for rent. She called into the city that, you know, the property is not in living conditions or whatever it may be. And then the inspector came out, inspected the property, sent a violation. So all these things that need to be fixed were the previous owner's well, I guess the previous owner did not do a good job in maintaining the property. I purchased the property. I was willing to work with the tenant, but the tenant was just, I'm having a hard time communicating with the tenant. Every time I communicate with her, she just goes off, blocks my number, and then I don't even have a way to reach to her. And as part of that, I am still trying to work on a lot of these things. So I have tried to get people out there. I'm actually in talks with a contractor right now to get the roof, the deck rebuilt, all those things taken care of. But I need more time because, as soon as I purchased the property, I got the violation notice. I haven't had enough time to get these things sorted out. And especially with COVID, it's hard finding contractors to come out and work on the property, especially with the tenant that's so hard to deal with. And she hasn't even paid rent for the past 6 months.
Have you corrected the smoke detector, CO detector problem?
So she won't even let us into the property. So, I mean, I have people I can send there to get that taken care of. It's just, I don't know how to get through this tenant.
Mr. Chairman, this is Patty. The tenant, which is a corporate entity, as I'm sure Mr. Vanover's going to give his spiel on, has rights and has a housing court with housing court specialist who's there every day to handle these kinds of things. But the owner has to avail themselves of their rights and their obligations under the law as well.
Okay. Mr. Vanover.
Well, again, Mr. Chairman, we don't object to more time. This is a pretty extensive list of repairs that need to be made. This is this is an investment property. This is the rental business. So as Ms. Asted just said, there are rights. There's a process to gain access and to do the work that's required, but this is the business. And it's quite possible that the assessment of what brought us to the property is accurate in that the tenant called to complain about the condition of the property. But the reality is once it was inspected, there was several issues found that are deficient. I'm assuming that in a free market society that these issues and concerns influence the cost of the purchase. So as the appellant has stated that he bought the property without looking at it, which is his right to do, he is now responsible for what he bought. And we don't object to more time, but we need a finite amount of time, not an imaginary deadline.
Okay, Mr. Molly, you heard that. How much time do you need?
I mean, as Mr. Hanover stated, it is a pretty extensive list, and would 3 months be reasonable?
Sounds
Mr.
reasonable.
Chairman, we don't object to 90 days, but with the expectation that the smoke detectors and the carbon monoxide detectors are addressed immediately.
Okay.
Okay, so we're looking at a January 31st, 2021 date. Is that correct? What did I do? Yep. 2022 date, January 2022, January 31st. Your motion?
Move.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Bradley, second by Mr. Denk. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dank,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, hold 1 second. I need to go get the appellant from next door for
Okay.
the next docket.
Okay, Mr. Molly, you'll be notified in 2 weeks. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
Tell me what's going on.
We're waiting for Carmela to bring the appellant in.
To the phone here. You can hear people talk. When I call, the chairman's gonna call your docket. We're gonna do the introduction. I'm gonna call your name, and then you're gonna ask to be give testimony, okay?
Yes. Okay. Got docket 87421, 921 East 128th Street.
Yes.
Docket 74.
Just waiting for Carmel to get back, Mr. Chairman. And while she does that, and while Mr. Moore is sitting there, I will state that this one also cites to a smoke and a CO detector. Thank you.
Okay.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violations, interior and exterior maintenance, issued on August 18, 2021. Appeal statement received September 16, 2021, requesting for time to abate the violation. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Ashton Law. With the appellant for docket 87421, please state your name for the record.
George Moore.
Okay, Mr. Moore, I solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay. You want to let us know how much time that you need?
Well, it's hard to say because of winter coming up. I would have had a lot of it done, but I contracted COVID, and here's my proof right here. I have one side effect, and that's fatigue. So that kind of slowed me down from making a lot of these repairs. I got a tenant downstairs that refuses to get a plate on his car, and I can't do the side and get that gutter back up. He's got 3 cars in the driveway. I can't get it. I put smoke detectors. Well, I put those in and I took pictures of it, but I got almost all of my equipment, parts and things to fix everything. So it's the fatigue factor, and because it's winter. Summertime, not a problem. It could be done real quick. I don't know when it's going to snow or not snow or whatever. So it's hard for me to say. I don't know how much time you normally allot people, but
Well, again, it depends upon, what we're looking at here. Just looking at the pictures, there's some things that can be done interior, and then there's the exterior things that you still can do, like that little brickwork and scraping off the sides of the house. You could maybe even do some of the painting before it gets too cold.
Yeah, I did the painting already.
Oh, you got that done? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then you're moving along okay.
I want to
weather-
put detectors back in. And
Okay.
my downstairs tenant, as a matter of fact, what actually happened was they haven't paid rent in over a year. So when it was that moratorium was over with, I evicted him. So what he did, he called you guys in retaliation, but he never told me that this needs repair, this needs repair, any of that. I feel that I deserve a little time to fix whatever is wrong, and I was never awarded that time.
Okay, so most of the stuff we're seeing, the pictures of are outside work. There was a little bit inside. And you say you have the smoke detectors, CO detectors. You're saying they're installed?
Yeah.
Okay. And so time-wise, what would you consider to be able, if you have the weather here, to be able to complete this? How much time do you think you need?
Yeah, if I had the weather to complete it, I probably could do it in 3 months, but that's the middle of winter.
You said you had some of the painting done already?
On the outside, yeah. I did a lot of work on the porch and some in the backyard.
Okay. Well, let me get Mr. Vanover in on this.
So, Mr. Chairman, to the appellate, do you live at this property?
No, I do not.
So, Mr. Chairman, to the appellate, you said that the downstairs tenant has been evicted at this point?
No, what the city did was the city made up for the back rent and gave them 3 months extra. And he didn't call you guys until I got my check. Before that, I never heard a word from them.
So when is, Mr. Chairman, when is this tenant supposed to be out?
They're paid up till January. First week in January, they owe rent.
Okay, so the eviction, so there's no eviction pending?
No, not right now.
Okay, so, and Mr. Chairman, to the appellate, is there an upstairs unit?
Yes, it is.
And is it occupied?
Yes.
Okay, so.
He's the one with the 3 cars in the driveway, and I can't fix the gutter because of him.
All right, so these are issues that you're gonna have to, although I emphasize, you're gonna have to deal with the housing court about when, there is remedy, and I can't give you and won't give you legal advice, but there is remedy when tenants refuse to allow you access or refuse to get plates on their car. So you may need to seek legal counsel for that. Being that much of the work has been done, we don't object to more time. But again, it's going to be the middle of winter. There are some serious issues. You say that the smoke detectors and the carbon monoxide detectors are in place, so that's important. But there appears to be some, brickwork on the porch that's in danger of collapse, according to the violation notice, and then other work is just deteriorated, loose, and missing siding and things of that nature, and the porch roofing needs to be replaced. So, and then there's a few other things inside, it looks like. So is everything inside corrected?
Everything but painting the kitchen ceiling.
Okay. And when do you think you can get that done?
I could get that done in less than a week, but she doesn't have a phone, and he only answers his phone whenever he feels like it. And so I come over to do work, and they complain that I come over without any notice. Well, how can I give you notice when you don't answer your phone?
Well, Mr. Chairman of the appellate, there's a process to give them 24-hour notice by, again, you'll have to seek counsel on how to give them notice, but we would ask, Mr. Chairman, that within 30 days, the interior violation notices, the interior violations are corrected, and that the exterior is, so that would be, November, say December 1st for the interior violations to be corrected, and April 1st for the exterior violations to be corrected. That gives a little bit of time with the weather as it is, and then a little bit of time in this, in March when the weather starts to break.
Okay, so that sounds good. Okay. So we need a motion for December 1st to get the interior corrected and April 1st to correct all other violations.
So move.
Motion by
Second.
Mr. Bradley, second by
Year.
Mr. Dank.
Mr. Chairman, year,
Yes, yes,
December 1st of 2021.
yes, December 1st, 2021, April 1st, 2022.
Thank you, Carmela.
All right. Call the roll.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what,
Oh, we got a motion by Mr. Bradley, second by Mr. Dank. Call the roll.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dank,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. Okay, you're all set. You'll be notified within 2 weeks.
Okay, Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
give me 1 second. Let me exit Mr. Moore out before we move to the.
Okay.
Will I receive that in writing?
What's that?
Yes,
Will I
you will.
receive that in writing?
Yes, you will.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Moore, that's it. You too.
Okay, ready.
Okay. Docket A 9421 17610 Miles Avenue.
Application and fees are in order. This is an adjudication order B 2102665-1 of section 507.8.2 of the OBC. Issued on September 22nd, 2021. Appeal statement was received September 29th, 2021, requesting a variance to the code. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Ashton, Law. With the representatives for docket A 9421, please state your name for the record.
Gentlemen, you'll have to unmute.
While they're unmuting, Mr. Chairman, the city does also have fire representatives present that may want to give testimony. I believe Lieutenant Cassidy and Alexiak are present. They'll let you know if they want to be heard. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I need all the representatives from Trimco to please state your name for the record so you can be sworn in to give testimony.
I believe our spokesman is Bill Brandt. Bill, are you on the call? Bill? He was showing in the attendees.
Yes, there he goes.
Okay.
Mr. Brett? Mr. Brett, can you hear us? I see he is unmuted, but we're not hearing him.
Mr. Chairman, what's his name?
B-R-A-D-T.
Okay. I was just making sure you wasn't saying Bradley.
He's still showing up, but he's not.
Yeah,
I don't hear him.
Yeah, I don't either, and it says that he's not muted.
Yeah,
One
on mine
second.
too, Maurice. That's what I was going to check with you.
I'm going to try to reach out to him via phone. 1 second.
Waited all day
Make sure you
for technical difficulties.
make sure you let him know he can call in if he wants, besides the computer.
He may have to do that, yeah. Okay, I'm seeing there is a Bill that is joining the meeting, and that might be him. Mr. Bratt, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, very good. Okay, I understand that, is there just yourself that's going to give testimony? Or other-
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, so all those that are going to give testimony solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
I do.
I do.
I do.
Okay, I'm not sure about all the names we have here. Can someone give us the names of everybody?
My name is Ilya Garkov, and I'm the project manager from Honor site.
Okay.
Brian Pitzlik, P-Y-C-L-I-K, Director of Manufacturing for Trimco.
Okay. And we've got William Bratt, right?
Correct.
And you're going to be giving most of the talking here, it sounds like. Okay, do you want to go ahead and proceed then?
Okay. We have a project under construction and the owner, I'm sorry, I'm hearing some feedback here. We gotta.
Mr. Brandt, I think
Try
your
it.
computer
Try it now.
microphone and
Yeah, I muted your computer microphone. Try it now.
Okay. All right, so we have a project that's under construction. We're asking for a variance for a new process to be put into this project that's under construction. It's called the FCLO room. It has hazardous materials that will be located in there. And due to the process, we are unable to locate the room to the exterior portion of the building as required by the building code. So we are asking for variance because we are providing some enhancements to that room to increase the fire protection and allow that room to be located away from the exterior.
Okay, it's kind of breaking up a little bit. So we're looking at the drawings here. to see what's going to be located outside. Is there one or two locations that this is going to happen, what you're looking for?
So we have one location. It's within the building on the first floor in a factory F1 use area. There is a second floor that is above this room. And this room itself will also have an equipment platform within it. So what you're seeing is three plans. The first floor level overall on the right, the factory equipment platform level, which goes into this room, but is fire separated. And then the second floor on the left, which goes over top of this room, which is fire separated.
Okay. Is this the only issues that are before us?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And both of these, let's just take a look here. Both of these are going to require a variance if we get some kind of agreement here. Who's going to speak on this? Mr. Vanover?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So preliminarily, I'll just, point out that, the primary issue is that the code requires this use type to be located on the exterior wall of the building, and for safety reasons, hazard reasons. And although this is the only issue, I mean, it is substantial. They presented to us, and Lieutenant Alexiak is present as well, what they expect to do to remediate any additional concerns. But this is something that cannot be approved by right and will require a variance.
Okay. So do we want to hear from Lieutenant Alexiak?
Sure. This is Lieutenant Alexiak with Cleveland Fire. I'm the fire planes examiner. To Commissioner Vanover's point, yeah, we were already presented with the additional fire protection that they're going to be putting in place. Matter of fact, we have no issues with that at all. We're very happy with it. They've addressed and clarified, as we spoke, they're going to address and clarify the control areas and the quantities, so it memorializes all the other issues, that can cause questions down the road. That's all resolved moving forward. But with regards to this area, yeah, we have no issue. We're happy they contracted with a fire protection engineer, who laid out a very clear and acceptable suppression system for the additional quantities that are going to be in here and the hazard class.
Okay, so you are in agreement with allowing the variance for in the first floor and second floor for this to be located outside on the unit, with the additional fire suppression and all that being involved in it. So you are on board with this, is that correct?
I am, and the only condition I would add is that the fire plan be maintained and be submitted and maintained regularly.
Okay.
That will be
Mr.
critical.
Chairman, this is Patty. I was going to ask if Mr. Vanover and Lieutenant Alexiak objected. You said it differently, but if they objected to the variance, but also if this is something. Getting feedback, sorry, but if this is something that is required to go on the certificate of occupancy.
Wait, say that again.
Does it need to be on the certificate of occupancy, this variance? Sometimes it's put on the certificate of occupancy for various reasons. From my time here, I've seen that submitted, and that was my one question to both Mr. Vanover and Mr. Alexiak. I recall previous fire or certain variances would be noted on the certificate of occupancy.
Well, on this one, I think that the drawing would have to be submitted and put in there that this is, where it's at, or for the fire, so that they know. I think that would be, I'm not sure occupancy, but they can weigh in on that.
So, Mr. Chairman, to Ms. Aston, by law, all variances are listed on the certificate of occupancy. So under the special conditions, this BBS calendar number and resolution will be referenced for the on the certificate of occupancy. I would like to, and we will also add that the fire plan be maintained on site to the special conditions under the certificate of occupancy as requested by Lieutenant Alexiak, but that's also required by the Ohio Fire Code. I would ask, though, just for the record, for the appellant to state the hazard classification and the commodities present that create that hazard classification.
Can you want this stated now, or do you want something written?
Yes, please, for the record of the hearing.
Okay.
Yes, please.
All right, go ahead, please state that, what the hazard class this refers to.
Mr. Brandt?
I think they're getting it together.
Mr. Brett, if you're on the call, if you're on the phone, you'll need to hit star and then 6 in order to unmute the phone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
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 Okay, great. Okay, so the hazard classification is an H3 and H4. The H3 is for combustible liquids, and the H4 would be for health hazard liquids. And actually, what was the additional part of that question? Sorry about that.
The commodities.
So, the commodities present. So this specific room contains both H3 and H4 use risk levels.
You're good.
Yes.
Okay, and then what are the just for the record, the commodities more specifically, because of the variance being requested, the flammable liquids.
So there'd be only combustibles, no flammables. The combustibles would be 3As and 3Bs, and there's a combustible 2.
Okay, so Mr. Chairman, just for the record, the purpose that's actually telling that the purpose of requiring these locations to be on the exterior of the building are twofold. One, so that it limits the impact of explosion, but also the ability to fight the fire and access from the fire department if needed. Although this is not located directly on the exterior of the building, if needed to be fought from the exterior, it's close to that exterior wall, and also understanding that they're combustible materials as opposed to explosives or even flammable, and that the suppression systems and the additional items included will assist in fighting fires for that purpose. So,
okay.
I guess I'll ask the question: what are the explosion risks for these materials, if any?
I don't believe there's an explosion risk. I don't have that information in front of me. I'm sorry about that.
And that's fine. I don't believe so either. I just
And we do.
Go ahead.
And we do have a 2-hour fire separation around this room as well to, and I think that is an additional hour to what is required by code.
Perfect.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. This is Patty, along Mr. Vanover's lines. The fire plan and all of the fire code requirements of training, I'm thinking Ohio Fire Code Chapter 4, and Alexiak and Cassidy can tell me if I'm on the wrong vein, going down the wrong road. But that's all part of the fire plan of what specifically the liquids that are present on site are notified. Fire will be notified of that through the fire plan, correct, to the appellant?
Mr. Brandt?
I guess I wasn't understanding the question.
It doesn't surprise me given my brain. When you have your fire plan that's submitted and is required to be maintained, any changes of specific compounds, liquids, etc., you update your fire plan and notify fire department, and you properly placard and train your personnel, correct?
Yes, and that would be up to the owner. Yes, that would be the
appellant owner. That would be part of the fire plan. So whatever specific compounds and liquids that fall under the H3, H4, combustible 2, combustible 3As, 3Bs that you were talking about, if any of those specifics compounds are on site, they are required to be part of the fire plan and notification to the city appropriate departments under the fire plan by the owner.
Yes, understood.
Alexiak, that's correct. Am I wrong on that, or is that part of that plan? If you could testify.
That is correct. It's,
Thank you.
we had discussions on that earlier, and definitely, yes. Appreciate you bringing it up.
Okay, so what we're hearing is that there are no objections. Is that correct? From the city or from fire to this variance, in allowing this variance to occur? Everybody's in agreement.
That's to Vanover and Alexiak. If you could, for the record,
Correct.
you want to make sure the city has no objection.
Correct. Based on the information provided and the risk mitigation factors provided, we don't object. I don't object from the building department side the granting of this variance.
Okay.
Lieutenant Alexiak, fire planes examiner, there's no objection.
Okay. All right. No objections to allowing this variance to occur. And for me to get into specifics on this, we're going to have to write this up. But for the equipment to be placed on the outside on the second and the first floor, meeting all of the requirements that have been stated here at the meeting for extra 2-hour separation and for extra suppression equipment on this equipment. So I'll go ahead and ask for the motion for the variance.
So moved.
Mr. Maschke. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Mr. Dink.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley, Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. Okay, we're all set. There's no further questions. You'll be notified in 2 weeks in writing.
Thank you.
Okay.
This was Patty. That I just want to make sure they're under construction. They don't need an emergency resolution. They can proceed. Everything's already in place. Or do they, to Tom and the appellant?
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Aston, yeah, that's up to the appellant if they want an emergency resolution. This is not under construction.
Oh, I thought this was I thought somebody said it was under construction already. Thank you.
Well, the building.
Go ahead.
So the building, which is the F1 use, is under construction. This room will be fitted into that construction, but it is not, the room itself has not been started, the construction within the building.
Okay, no need for an emergency resolution then.
Thank you.
Okay,
Excuse me, we're pretty close to the construction of the road, so I would ask for quick resolution if we can.
So you need it, this is Patty, you need the resolution for the variance today as opposed to 2 weeks from now? That's what you're asking?
If possible, yes.
So then, Mr. Chairman, you can have Carmela write up an emergency resolution that the board would sign and email it to Mr. Vanover and the appellant.
Okay.
So that it could then proceed if it's required for the construction costs that he was discussing.
Okay, we can do that. Mr.
Did you
Dank?
understand that one, Carmela? I don't know if she heard me, if she was still on. So, so they, instead of, you do the paperwork that you normally would do, the multicolored whatever, and then you can email it to the appellant and Mr. Vanover because they're saying that they need it for certain purposes.
Okay.
Mr. Gallagher?
Yes.
Brian Pitzlick with Trimco. I just want to take a second to thank the board for their time today and especially extend appreciation to Mr. Vanover and Lieutenant Alexiak for their help and guidance throughout this process. Thank you very much.
Very good. You're very welcome. Okay. Yes, that could have been tricky for sure. You guys made it easy. All right, so that concludes that particular docket. And I understand that Patty wanted something else. So we're going to clear the board here. Everybody's excused except for those that are involved here. And I see we have Director Collier online. So we'll go ahead and Patty.
Did you do your dockets? Did you, once you do?
Oh, we did not. We
the
did
minutes
not.
and the dockets and all that?
You're right. We have the approval of resolutions and the approval of minutes. I'm sorry. Okay, approval of resolutions, A 52
Plan.
21, A 53 21, A 55 21, A 56 21. Motion.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Mr. Maskey, second by Mr. Bradley to approve the resolutions. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. Approval of minutes. Are there any additions or corrections?
No.
Okay, motion to approve.
So move.
Okay, motion by Mr. Bradley,
Second.
second by Mr. Maskey.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. Okay, that concludes our formal regular business.
All righty.
Okay, so
Everybody,
Sass-
November 10th.
Okay.
Thank you,
Everybody stay safe.
well,
We have Director
I would
Collier to
I
make a,
just want to raise unofficial, if I can raise an unofficial outside of, the unofficial sort of new business. And Tom, are you still on? Tom is still on. Okay, so if I say this wrong, which I am wont to do post-COVID, I apologize. I've got some residual lingering stuff, and one of them being the brain is not connecting right. So I wanted to raise as unofficial business, it was sent to me to look at, submitted and had some discussions preliminarily. I know with maybe that's why Director Collier's on, but both with my boss, Michelle, as well as our Chief Corporate Counsel, Rhonda Curtis, regarding the presentation of House Bill 372 and Senate Bill 196 to the various committees. And so Tom was thankfully gracious enough to send out some information that I reviewed, but also he provided a link where
Excuse me.
go
Excuse me.
ahead.
I'm sorry. Real quick. Should I turn off the streaming for this or not?
It's up to you. I'm not going to say anything on, I mean, I can't answer that.
Okay. I'll just leave it on then. Okay.
So,
Sorry.
because I don't want to run afoul of public meetings laws, Maurice, so I can't answer that. So, there was a link that I could sign up, and hopefully I did it correctly to track these, but I don't know. I just want to bring to the board's attention the House Bill number 372 and Senate Bill number 196 that the board maybe want to take a look at the language. There's some mandatory hearing language that is interesting. I'll say interesting as a descriptor, because the only time I've ever seen such short time as a lawyer has been in like a criminal habeas corpus realm, and it's listed in hours, not days, not business days, but in effect of like things that shall be done within 24 hours and things that shall be done within 72 hours, which I thought was interesting. So I don't know if the board is, I just briefly wanted to say the board members as design professionals that regularly work with this matter and as part of the board that deals with Chapter 3781 for the revised code under these hearings and falling under the umbrella of being a certified board to bring these two matters to your attention. If you didn't already know about it, House Bill number 372 and Senate Bill number 196. And then separately, I'm very interested to hear at some point Mr. Dank's son's take on some stuff from that. That's if he's still on the state board, which I honestly didn't look up. That was my unofficial monkey business I wanted to bring to the board's attention.
Okay, before anything else is said, let's get Director Collier on. And he's muted at the present time.
What do we? Does my iPad have to be assigned to WebEx by the city?
Oh, you're
No.
on, Mr. Dank. We hear you.
He's on.
No,
he's on his phone.
no, it doesn't have to be assigned.
There you go.
Now, let me go see if director is in his office and see if I can get his attention.
Go ahead.
Hold on.
Yeah, we need to come up with a way. Maybe between now and next meeting we could.
So if while we're waiting for Director Collier, I would just point out that this conversation started with me talking to other building officials around the city, or I'm sorry, around the state. There is, hopefully there's an expectation that after review of the requirements that this legislation at the state level brings, that we will be able to, we'll form an opinion one way or another. And you as the board would really need to look at the ramifications, because it directly affects appeals board. This isn't, and not building departments actually. So understand that this legislation affects appeals boards and your responsibility. The reality of it is I bring it simply because myself and other building officials we're discussing it. It will obviously impact our ability if we've got to get ready for an appeal. Based on the way this legislation is written, you could actually have an appeal hearing every day of the week.
Yeah, and it does. I was going to jump in there, Tom. It does affect the departments, and I've had conversations. I've not reached out yet to fire, but because it will affect, if passed, it will affect the departments as departments responding to emergency appeals. Both the building department, if it had to be at the state level, both at the local level, but if it was taken further to the state level under 3781. But in addition, the fire department would be, or maybe I have to look at whether or not it would affect them under 3791. Because we haven't done, knock wood, we haven't done it recently, but there are times we are regularly down to the state appeals boards for fire state appeals. So
Right.
depending on how those are written, it may or may not affect fire, but I haven't delved into that enough yet to look at
Mr.
that.
Chairman? Mr.
Yes.
Chairman?
What I was,
Yes.
Did
what I
we
was getting
adjourn?
ready.
Did we adjourn yet?
No, we are not.
No.
Okay.
What I
I
was
like to- I like-
getting ready to say was that, yeah, I mean, it'll affect us because if we have, under this legislation, we could be having appeals every day of the week.
Technically, yes.
Which would mean that we would have to mobilize to get statuses and to testify every day of the week.
And then the board
Patty,
would have
you
to
can
hear it,
continue. Right, you can continue to look into it. I believe that the way that it's written, though, is I think that the current legislation is specific to orders by adjudication orders by the building, out of the building code portion, but verify that obviously that the fire code abatement orders aren't included in that. But regardless, many items that are adjudicated out of the city of Cleveland that are adjudicated out of the building code, as this one that we just heard, requires input from fire as well.
I was just going to mention that. That was an excellent example of how it impacts two different departments, even though it was listed under specifically to the building code.
Hello,
There's
guys.
Director.
Looks like we have Director
Hey,
Collier.
I'm so sorry, guys. I was on another call, so I couldn't hop on. So forgive me. Can you guys hear me okay?
We do.
Okay. If we can, I'm sorry, Carmela, can we go back to the start of this particular discussion so I can just kind of get caught up?
Patty Aston brought up about the legislation that is pending in the state about expediting hearing and how it will impact not only building appeals, but as other departments and conclusions as well. Tom also brought up that he's been in communication with other OBCs around Ohio in regards to that matter as well. Kind of like I'm briefing everyone on the discussion we had with Tom and the law department last week.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. And just to add to that, and really where the alarm came on for us is if such a piece were to pass, it would obviously have a ripple effect with respect to capacity. And the capacity issue for us would be a challenge. And that is what really started to, sound the alarm for me when Carmela first brought it to my attention. So I wanted to kind of get an understanding of what, Patty and the whole team thought about, one, when this piece may pass, or, I know it's pending, and literally what does that mean? And worst case scenario, if it was to pass, talking about the implications of that. And then I guess the third prong would be, should there be any effort to ensure that it doesn't pass? If that makes any sense.
So, and you were not on this when we started, but Maurice is still streaming because I don't want to run afoul of public meetings law. My intention here was to bring this to the board's attention and ask them to read it and look at it, and then they would have to decide if they wanted to decide as a board, because they act as a board, if they want to give similar comments that other board around the state seem to be doing, and to maybe say that there might be need for further discussion, communication. As to the legislative process, Director, I'm going to defer you to Chief Rhonda Curtis, who is the corporate counsel, because she is well versed in those mechanisms. I went in to track the legislation, but I could not tell you the meanings or the timings or anything like that. But there will be some point of public comment, and that would be the appropriate time for any sort of public comment in official capacities, and which I think Rhonda would be best suited to discuss. And I think we have a legislative liaison in the cabinet level, mayor's cabinet level. So I would defer to those discussions to be held with Rhonda at the appropriate time, but my intention today was to bring this to the board's attention so that they could review, because first you have to look at the language of the proposal, because it is kind of striking. And that was my intention, for them to become aware of that.
Okay, all right, well, that's helpful.
I would like to point out and restate just for everybody here what I said in our last meeting, is that the Ohio Building Officials Association also has a legislative committee that does very well, and they've got a lot of ears, and other municipalities have already issued statements to Charles Huber out of Lakewood is the lead for that legislative committee, but they've already committed to writing, position letters, basically, about how this would affect them as a business. So we have to work through Rhonda, but I don't want an opportunity to pass that, to join the other departments and planning directors or trustees or whomever the lead on those things are, to join their body of work as well. And it's my understanding that there's actually supposed to be meetings with sponsors of this bill. The building official from Summit County, Chris Randall, I know, is supposed to be meeting with one of the sponsors is from his area, to just try and get some background information and to explain their position. We don't have a position yet because we're waiting for an opinion, but time is of the essence, because although it doesn't seem to be moving quickly yet, it could.
So that was what I wanted to raise. That was why I thought it was appropriate. I did tell Michelle that I was going to raise this to ask the board to please review these, because I think it's important. Other than that, I have nothing further.
Okay. Is there anything else from anyone else?
Otherwise, I'm going to log off. You guys have a good 2 weeks. Take care.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Then we
Bye.
are done. We're logging off.